I said that there was no line breaks, but that was a lie. When you don't use tags, or certain tags, they don't have line breaks, and they show up in the same line, or in line. And in fact, by default, those things have an attribute called inline. They're displayed in line. But a paragraph, one of the attributes we would want a paragraph to have is to start on a new line. I mean, that defines a new paragraph, and usually to skip a line even. So headers, you would never make two titles and want them to be next to each other. They by default are on a new line. And what that is called, when they're on the same line, it's called inline. But when they're on different lines, that's called block. So they're given a block of space, and then the next block item will start on a new line. Block items have a line break. Inline items do not. They are in line. So headers and paragraphs, like you would want them to be if you were writing a book or making articles, they start on new lines. So why don't we make another paragraph here? Let's say this one. Our prices are comparable to our competitors, but we also include free bottled water. Alright, so now we have two paragraphs. So this should be similar format, just another line below it, with some space in between. And as you can see, there's about one line's worth of space in between, and it by default knew to go to the next paragraph. Now, just to show you this, I mean, we could format it this way. Sometimes it's easier to read this way. Depends on how much content you have. But here's our two paragraphs. All right, so let's so paragraphs start and end with a line break. So let me just put in some text outside of either of the paragraphs, and that will be on its own line. Whoops. Yeah. There we go. So this stuff will be on its own line, because this paragraph above, this paragraph had a line break before it and after it. And then this paragraph has a line break before it and after it. So all this content should be on its own line, but both of these lines, because they're not in a paragraph or separate paragraphs, these two will be on the same line. So this should give us 3 lines of paragraph text. Now, as you can see, that worked. Our paragraphs are line breaks, but this text outside does not line break unless you have a paragraph or you put in an actual BR tag. So let's put in a BR tag. So there's our line break. Yep, there it is. And here we go. Now it's a line break. Now you can see a line break simply goes to the next line, but a paragraph skips a line, like it would be in a book. So the default, it makes sense. All right. So now we've covered headers, we've covered paragraphs. I've explained what inline items are. So these items, paragraphs and headers, are both block, which is the opposite of inline. There's a line break before and after them. So by default, they're not on the same line. It's very important to think of every item as being either block or inline. And there are some other alternatives, but those are the basis of things you need to think about right now when thinking about the position of these items.